I am so glad that you're here listening to this episode. And if you are a man, then you're probably here because you saw something or it caught your attention, and that's fantastic. I would love for you to stay with me through this episode here. If you know a man, if it's your partner, if it's your son, your brother, maybe it's your father, this might be an opportunity for you to learn about what's going on for this man. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about a man I know. And in the day and age that we're at right now, men are struggling. And for various different reasons and various different traumas and reasons as to why they may be struggling. And by no means am I going to be able to encompass all of them. So I'm just going to talk to you about what I know and what I see as a man, as a single father, and as someone who works with men. And these are driven, high-performing men. Most of them have gone through some level of suffering and trauma in their life, whether it be divorce and being a single father or business and entrepreneurship journey and all the challenges that brings. Maybe it was a death in the family. The men that I work with are generally those that are often classified as kind of the high performance, the driven type, or type A individuals. And that's, primarily because that's what I understand. That's the world that I get, being one of them. And there's a lot of challenges for that type of individual, for that man. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through some of the symptoms that this man is having. And if it's you, I want you to listen to it with some grace and some ease for yourself. And if it's someone that you know, listening into it with some compassion. Again, if you're the man, having some self-compassion. If it's someone that you know, having some compassion for them. Because at the end of the day, we want our men to be solid. We want them to be strong, to have a really strong, powerful foundation. And this man has lost his way. And number one is because he's broken. And he could be broken physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, or all of the above. And yet he's broken. And the signs of him being broken are the exhaustion and the overwhelm. And the thing about it is this man is not vulnerable and is afraid to speak up for various reasons. The primary one is for looking weak, especially if this man was an athlete in his previous chapters in life, where as athletes we were taught to play for the pain, get back out there, be strong, don't cry. And so that foundation, that paradigm has been formed and has stuck with this man. And so here he is today, struggling, overwhelmed, tired, broken, and afraid to say something for fear of looking weak, for fear that if he's in a career, what his boss might say, if he owns a business, what his employees may think of him. He's supposed to be the strong leader of this organization. He's afraid to speak up. If he's in a relationship, and again, I tend to work with individuals who have gone through divorces, who maybe been remarried and divorced again. Maybe they're not in a relationship, but they've gone through some relationships during their life. And, they've been in situations where they've been afraid to speak up to their partner for fear of letting them down, for fear of looking weak, for fear of not having their shit together. And so What impacts him as well is the societal view of what men need to do in order to perform, to protect, to provide for their families. And this individual may be handling some of the basic necessities, the house, the food, the school, the clothes on their backs for his family. But he's broken inside. And so on the outside looking in, it looks as if he's taking care of his family, but that's just not the case because he's not showing up authentically as himself. And that is killing him. Or he isn't providing at the time, and he's feeling ashamed. He's feeling ashamed that he's letting down his life partner. He's letting down his children, his parents, his friends, because that leads to the second symptom. He's struggling because he just isn't winning. And what I mean by that is, he may be winning on the scoreboard. He may have a job with a nice income. He may be satisfied with getting up and going to work. He may be having enough sex each week that satisfies him. He's winning on the scoreboard. The challenge with that is the wins that show up on the scoreboard are part of the human experience. Follow me here. In this 3D world that we live in, that's part of the human experience. Those are things that we've created as being human. It's not part of the being, okay, this vertical dimension. What I mean by that is he's winning on the scoreboard, but he's not winning in the things that really derive happiness and fulfillment and meaning and purpose and joy in their life. And those are the things that show up on the being dimension, not on the human dimension. But yet that's where he's judged by it. He's feeling judged by it. And so he's just trying to go out there and create more on the human dimension, the scoreboard related stuff, more money, more vacations, making sure the kids are set with clothes and school and activities, and their wife, their life partner is taken care of and they're happy. And he's forgetting about himself. And so thus, he doesn't feel like he's winning. He's also lacking in applause. And yes, men, for who they are, this man would like to be recognized, would like to be acknowledged. I'll go back to the sports analogy. Being an athlete, you got instant feedback. You did something well, you needed correction, you got instant feedback right there. When in life, we don't get that instant feedback, especially from men, because this man isolates himself. He's not telling his buddies at work or out hanging out. He's not telling his friends about what's going on. He's not talking a bit about the wins he's having in his, growing himself, because he's afraid to even tap into that, let alone talking about the wins and the losses that are showing up in the human dimension. Struggling in his relationship, divorce, money, lack thereof, career, business, issues and the challenges that show up in that. For someone like myself, you compound being a single father on top of that. You really put yourself in a position where you just are trying to search for where is a win that I have today that I can feel good about. And not something that somebody wants from me. Just a win that connects with me emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He's working his butt off. He's working hard and just not getting the result he wants. That meaning, that purpose, fulfillment, excitement, the joy, the play in life. That leads us to number 3, which is lacking purpose. What this man did was he did all the right things. He went to school, got a degree and got a job and started making money and bought the house and found a partner and had children together and is building up the nest egg. He's doing all the quote unquote right things, the things he was supposed to be doing. And yet now he's at a point where he's saying, hold on, What is all this for? And so this man has a fire in him. But the problem is, it's been diminished. It's just a little spark. Maybe he's lucky, a little candle light. Far from the blazing inferno, the torch that he once was. It's still in there, and he knows it. He knows it's in there. He's struggling to figure out how in this lifetime that I have right now of producing, providing, protecting for those around me, whether it's my employees, my customers, my children, my partner, how do I actually take care and lock in and find what matters most to me, let alone go and pursue it? And that's diminishing the light, and he's becoming resentful. And that resentment, he then just becomes avoidant. Doesn't want to touch that pain. And so he settles for mediocrity in his business, maybe in his career. He doesn't really want to invest in the relationship, so he avoids those hard conversations. He avoids the opportunity to be vulnerable. He's in a position where he doesn't feel safe. He doesn't feel seen. Doesn't feel valued. Doesn't feel heard with himself. I'm not even talking about in his relationship or with his children. Because yes, you want to have those things. He's not feeling those things with himself. He's never been taught to have a safe environment for himself, the things that he says to himself and feels valued by himself, that loves himself. He is not invested in that. And so he's avoidant with himself. And thus he's avoidant in his relationship. If you're in a relationship with this man, you know that well. So what he ends up doing is to find a little bit of peace and ease in this, because he's working so hard. He comes home. If he's a single father, he's cooking dinner and getting the kids ready. Or if the kids are at the co-parent's house, at their mom's house, for example, he's trying to figure out how to prepare and get everything done. So by the time they get back, and he's got the laundry done, he's got the house cleaned up, he's got enough work that he can get done. Maybe he gets his travel in because he's got to get that done, so that when the kids come back, he's ready to go. So every little bit of opportunity to just have a little bit of peace, a little bit of numbness, he turns to lower frequency, he tries to get to a level of consciousness, but he does it from a lower frequency. And that's things like alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling. And so those are just quick band-aids. Just a quick, all right, I'm feeling at ease. It becomes a habit. Because he's avoidant to actually go in and do the work on himself. He's just finding a continuous thread of lower frequency activities that are actually doing more harm than good. And they're not getting to ultimately where he wants to be. The other thing that this man does is he throws himself into an identity. And this could be a former identity, like an athlete. And he begins living vicariously through his children and their sports. Or it could be as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a manager. It could be as a father, goes all in on being a father and forgets about all the other areas of life. He goes all in an identity because he's grasping for straws, somewhere to feel valued and seen and heard. And thus, he's slowly breaking and shattering. The other dangerous thing that this man does, is he throws himself into his kids' activities, maybe their sporting activities, and living vicariously through them. Or he throws himself into his favorite sports team. And he just can't wait. He gets excited because on Sunday's the game, or Saturday, it says, he's an alumni of a college football program that he can't wait to watch. So he's going to sit down. He's preparing for the excitement, for that quick little lower frequency, quick little numb bit of excitement in his life. That's what he's looking forward to. And then when his team wins, he feels good. We're excited. We won. When they lost, he's angry. It's upset. It changes his whole mood because he's taken on this identity, this team, He feels part of the team because he hasn't developed his own team. Now, hey, look, I love rooting for sports like the next man, but by no means do I want to identify with it. If they lose, they lose. It is what it is. We go on to the next. I don't identify with that. It doesn't shift the mood, but it does for this man. What he finds himself doing is floating and feeling lost. He doesn't have a sense of purpose. He doesn't have a sense of direction. It's not that he's lazy. Not that he's sitting on the couch. Like, this dude is working. He owns a business. He runs a business. He has a family. He's carting the kids around to activities and schooling, and he's doing all the work. He's in doing mode. But because he's lacking the being aspect of him, he feels lost. And so what looks on the outside world is he's not getting the result. This goes back to winning. He's not getting the results that he wants on the scoreboard. And so he doesn't feel like he's winning. And if he's in a relationship with a partner that values those things, well then, he's really feeling lost when he has those that love him most. And he's in a relationship with someone who reminds him every day of how much he's losing and not winning and not making enough money and not being present more and not doing this, not doing that, and continuing to weigh on him versus checking in, having some compassion for what he's going through. The last one is to avoid that shame, to avoid the guilt. His happiness is dependent on others' happiness. If his wife is happy, then he's happy. If his kids are happy, then he's happy. And so he pours himself into others. If his employees are paid and they're happy, if his customers are satisfied, he's happy. And so thus, his happiness, his fulfillment in life is in external, is in others. Happiness that he cannot control. He cannot control others' happiness. And yet he's working his butt off to try to do so. To give them the life they want. To give them the experiences they want. Forgetting about himself. So, whether this individual is in a relationship currently, going through this, or the destruction's already happened. Divorced, separated, he's now apart and seeking a new relationship. This man is taking his old patterns, his old habits, old trauma, and packing it in a bag and bringing it with him to work every day, to his parenting, and he's bringing that bag with him into his next relationship. And he knows it. He knows there's something off. He knows he's feeling broken. But again, unwillingness to be vulnerable, to be open, and the egoic desire to protect him from looking weak to the outside world drives him to just create, make more money, go out there and slay the dragon. And so this man is someone we need to help and we need to support. Now, you may resonate with this man. This may be you. And I just more or less told you my story. You may know someone like this. The way we need to provide this man with an environment where he can feel safe, he can feel seen, he can feel heard, he can feel valued, so that he can begin to open up, blossom a little bit, and feel that he can share and ask for help and be vulnerable. I'm telling you, the minute that he does that, if you jump in and judge him, if you jump in and shame him, guilt him for opening up and sharing, you better believe he's going to close up to never open again. If that's you, and you have been judged and shamed and felt guilt from others for opening up, please give it another shot. It may not be with that person or those people or that group, Those are people that you're going to have to push off while you go through this fire. And it's important for you to invest in yourself in doing that and not investing what they have to say about you. Trust you. Trust you. And so in supporting this man, we have to provide that environment for him. We have to root him on, cheer for him, applaud for him. And knowing that, hey, I recognize your effort. I see the work that you're doing. I know you're not getting the results that you want. I know you're not getting the results that maybe we had planned out as a unit, maybe as a couple, as a relationship, or as a company. But I see the work and the effort that you're putting in. Recognize him for the effort that he's doing. It goes a long way. Because what we know is the more effort that he does, ultimately, he'll start to see some results. So I want to bring light to this man and know that he's out there. You're out there. And if you're feeling these things, brother, it's all good. Welcome to the crowd. Like, you're part of the team if you're feeling like that. Because there are other men who see you, who know what you're going through. We may be a couple steps ahead of you. But man, do not feel ashamed. Do not feel guilty. You're right where you need to be. And those feelings are valid. Go easy on yourself. It's time to invest in you and time to take care of you. And by doing so, for those that you do keep into your life, you become a better version of yourself, which helps them, which helps grow your relationship. You're not avoiding, you're being present. You're connecting, you're communicating, you're being open. And so, please give yourself some grace. Anything that you've done, things that you felt in the past, they are what they are. They're simply stories at this point. In the present moment, dude, if you're here, you're listening to this right now. You're in a safe space, dude. You're good. You're alive. You're breathing. And now it's time to invest in you. Emotionally, mentally, physically. You are a physical being. Like, dude, you need to go be physical. You need to move your body. You got to work your body. Relationally, spiritually. It's time to do the work. And so, look, ultimately, with most driven men like yourself, or that man that you know, they have a mission. And they like to be mission focused. But they're so focused on everyone else, and their mission is to help satisfy them. It's time to turn the light back on them. It's time for you. That little candlelight, that little spark that's in there, dude, I know it's in there. It's time to throw some fuel onto it. And not just the quick, over the barbecue, a little squirt of some fuel just to get a quick rise. No, that's not sustainable. We're building logs, man. We're putting big, fat logs on this fire. Sustainable ones, strong foundation. But it's not anything anyone is going to do. Because here's the thing. I know you want someone to come save you. I know I look up at the moon outside my window at 2 a.m, praying that somebody would come save me. Reality is, nobody is coming to save you. That's your job. That's on you. And so if you're supporting a man, he needs to save himself. Do not save him, but be there for him. Hold space for him. Give him an environment where he can do this work and then light his torch so it becomes a blaze. And now he's got the power in him to be his true, authentic self. And that self-mastery is a sustainable path to having the fulfillment and the joy and the meaning and the purpose you want in your life. Hope this was helpful. Hope this brought light to a man that's out there who might be you, might be someone you know. Obviously, if I can be a support, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was this helpful? Would you like me to expand upon this? Share a little bit more? Please, would love your feedback so we can continue to help this man. Continue to help you become the greatest version of yourself so that you can be an example of possibility for others, especially if you have them, your children.